a minute. Can't see that car. Like glare on it.
Doug, do you also audio record?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. I'll steal that from you and put it in my file.
All right. We'll call to order the January 24th, 2024 Thomaston Upson Joint Planning Commission meeting. Can we get roll call, please?
Absolutely. Commissioner Jordan.
Present.
Commissioner McCoy.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Hilton.
Here.
Commissioner Pitts.
Yes, sir.
Chair McKinley.
Yes.
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Item 2 is approval of your November 22nd, 2023 meeting minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look over those? Any changes, questions?
I'll make a motion to we accept the minutes from last month, last meeting.
Okay, do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Yes. Item 3 is the discussion of potential recommendation for rezoning request requested by Matt Smith for parcel 043C010 located behind 1088 Highway 19 North to be zoned general commercial C2. So Matt, since you're the only one here, I'm gonna let you, if you want to do if you got a presentation or you want to talk about anything, is there anything you want to?
I can tell you what I'm wanting to do.
Okay. If you would, do you want him to stand up?
Yeah, one of the X's.
Okay. This he's the only one here. Yes, stand up on one of the X's. Just say your name and address so we can get it on the recording.
Matt Smith, 1775 Highway 19 North, Thomaston, Georgia. So this is the old Moore Chevrolet building behind Raceway. It's been vacant since Mr. Moore shut his dealership down, I'd say maybe 15 years ago. And I recently purchased the property from his wife, Miss Gars. My plans or idea with this place is I had somebody come out and reach out and need a large space for a new business that they're going to be making parts for a Triumph motorcycle factory that's going in Culloden. So they were looking for 4,000 square feet office space, parts space to put parts, and working space like for a machine shop type stuff to make this part. So we figured out that half of this building would be perfect for that new adventure for this company. So then I said, what am I going to do with the other 6,000 feet of the building? You know, they only wanted for us 9,000 feet. So I've been reading online about this flex space. It's more like, let's see, it's not like a storage unit where you're just going to store something and walk away and forget about it. It's more or less for like a small business that doesn't have the money to pay for a 4,000 square foot business that say like it's a glass company. And they start out and they're new and overhead's real high, and you know, looking for a place to do business is really expensive anyway. So they don't have the money for 4,000 feet, but they would have the money to pay $500 or $600 for a 20 foot wide by 60 foot long building, which would be 1,200 feet. So I have 5 spots left that I want to turn into this flex space. So I want to have the 4,000 feet for the office or building space that I'm presuming putting in here. And then I want the other 5 spaces of these bays individually flex space. And what that would be is they would be on, let's see, on the other side. on the other side, they each have their own walk-in door. It's a 36 by 80 walk-in door, and then they'd have a 12 by 8 door. It's 12 foot high, 8 foot wide, and then it'd be partitioned off by steel and metal from the next bay to keep it, sound where you couldn't get in or sneak in their bay, or it'd be solid between the two. And then there'd be 5 of those. And I think there's a picture of one, what it would actually look like in the top right diagram. On one end, there's actually a 12 by 12 shop door on the end, so you could get a trailer in there, something big. If you bring in some kind of heavy equipment in, you could get it in that door. And then on the other door, it would be smaller to make room for your regular shop door, where you didn't have to lift that big heavy door to get in. If you just need to run in there for some plumbing pipes or something, you don't want to have to let that big door up to get in there every time. So that's where the little bitty door is. And I'll give you an example of the ones I already have that said that they would lease these type of spaces from me. Currently, they're in my storage units. I didn't plan on it being that way, but there's a guy that's got a pressure washing business, and he has all his chemicals, his I guess the power wash, or stuff he buys in bulk. He has his little bitty trailer, his pressure washing gear in there, but he's outgrown it because my storage buildings, remember, the biggest one I have is 10 foot by 20 foot. So they're a little tiny, they're made for household stuff, not like a business we run. The other problem I have is if the storage buildings, they don't have power. This would be wired up with power, so they'd have their own, if they want to wire it up and put a little refrigerator in there, they're paying the power bill for it, so, it'd be their own power. They would have their own, if they want to put an office or a bathroom in there, the sewer is there for it. The water is there for it. I provide the stubs and the hookups. It's up to them if they want to close it in and make a little office for it, But I'm just providing them the spot to do it. And there's a big need for this here. Nobody's really touched on this yet. It's kind of something new. And I just had the opportunity because I bought the building and it was already there. And it was kind of like most of the project was right there done and ready. I just need to put my little final touch on it.
So each space could have its own power?
Each space will have its own power. We ran into a little hiccup with the zoning. The first part of the land that I own behind Raceway is in the city, and it's already C2. And this is my fault. Out of as many deals as I've done, I didn't do my due diligence, and when I purchased it, I just assumed that, hey, it's been a Morris Chevrolet for 25 years. It's just C2. It's all, and I didn't know that, and it was just my fault. I didn't catch it when I bought it, and then
So it was agriculture as it as
like it's
more
farmland, like it's,
when it was
Like
more
it was
Chevrolet.
grandfathered in probably under.
Okay, that's what I was curious about.
So me not doing my due diligence, I said, okay, so I got Mr. Curry to get a permit to kind of do what I want to do, and he's like, well, first of all, we got to change the zoning, and then, it's right here by some stuff in the city, so I got to go before a dual board, and
Right.
so this is kind of where we are.
And how big is each one of the 5 spaces?
They will be 20 foot wide by 60 foot long, and they'll have a 12 by 12 door on the east end, and on the west end we'll have a 12 by 8 door with a 36 by 80 shop door. And each one will be wired with its own 200 amp service, and each one will be pre-plumbed for an office or a bathroom if they choose to, take it that next level on their end of business as they grow.
Okay. Any questions?
The business that you mentioned from Colode, tell me about that business.
All right, so the business is it's local people that's actually doing it. You would know them, but I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you who they are or what they're doing. Okay, but I'm telling you, I'm in there selling my idea. Okay.
Sure. Well, let me ask you this. Can you tell me how many people they will employ?
So I know it's a mom and dad, a granddad, and a son. There'll be 4 of them that I can attest to.
Okay.
I know, like the mom will be in the office doing the billing and all the paperwork, and there's 1,800 square feet of just office space in this building with 3 bathrooms. Actually, yeah, 3. And then the shop that they're gonna be working in is the machine shop's 2,400 feet. It's broke down in this this flex space, and then they took the whole other end of the building. So they're gonna have 2,400 feet of office, working, like, I don't know if you call it warehouse space. There's gonna be machine shops. This building is 3-phase power on this end. What I'm gonna do on those smaller spaces is gonna do 110. I'm not putting 3-phase in there for something big to pull big power, but it will have a 200 amp service in each one of these.
Okay. How about this Patrician building, truck still coming in through?
Franklin Drive.
Okay.
So I own the road that comes up through Raceway. We wouldn't be trying to send them that way, but Franklin Drive, you could come in, and you could come in at the red light, but get in, turn around. There's 3 acres
plenty
there.
of room
There's
for it to-
ample, yes sir.
To negotiate the trucks coming in and out. All right, how about parking? Have you,
All right, so I hadn't actually striked off parking, but there's more parking than I'll ever use up
Okay.
there for this project.
Okay.
We hadn't really went out there and, actually striped it, but just along the building itself, I can see there's probably 20 parking spots just along the building, just on the asphalt and concrete.
okay,
Not getting into all the grass and.
sure. But if you have to, you get into the grass.
Oh yes, sir. There's how much land would you say is in grass, Mr. Doug? A couple acres?
Quite a bit.
Yes, sir.
Plenty.
Yes, sir. Plenty to grow
All right.
to.
How about, what are your plans as far as putting signage out? and
All right,
lights and
so
stuff like
really the company that will be taking the 4,000 feet's not open to the public. So all they need is the bare minimum. They don't need a monster sign to tack you up anything. They don't need any ugly signage. They don't need anything like that. What they're building will be strictly for this plant out here in Cloten. And they won't be taking anything. There won't be anybody coming off the street to get parts done here. They won't be dealing with anything off the street. It'll strictly be, the motorcycle factory. So I'm guessing, I'm like y'all, I don't want a bunch of signs on my metal building either. So it's going to be the bare minimum. If it's a business and the state requires them to have a sign, they have to have a sign. But it'd be something 4x4 maybe, or not nothing massive and ugly and gaudy and.
Right.
On their door or whatever.
I'm thinking maybe on the door, or maybe right above that little 4x8 door, but kind of not standing above the top of that other door.
Yeah.
Something that just kind of looks classy. I'm not trying to do something that looks trashy out here.
Right.
Matt, the electrical is City of Thomaston, or?
It's City of Thomaston, yes sir.
You have 3-phase service.
I do have 3-phase, and I met with Neil, and he was wanting me to 3-phase this other part of the building, but I just don't see the demand for it, because I really have another idea of building this exact same thing, but a different layout of the front with glass fronts next door, and I might would do 3-phase in this, but the businesses that I'm proposing to put in here won't need 3-phase.
Have you looked at your 3-phase service?
Yes sir, it's there.
I understand that. How many transformers?
3.
Okay. If you don't have 3, then you're gonna have a high leg in that system, so you're.
They were gonna run a whole nother line from the behind the Shell station. That's where the transformer line runs. And I believe that they were gonna have to do that to do something with those townhouses that's coming right beside me. So we discussed that, and they asked for me to clear the line out to get the trees off of the line. And then this week I called and asked them, could we just, if I paid for it, could we do underground? Because I didn't want to see another telephone pole. So they agreed to that, but I got to pay for it. So
Yeah, the difference in a 3-phase system that has 3 transformers and 2 transformers is you have a high leg in a 2 transformer. So if you have 3, you can use either one of those for a 120 volt system.
okay.
Otherwise, If you have a high leg in it, you'd only be able to use 2 of those, because one of them would be square root of 3 times that.
All right, I'm gonna leave that
Okay.
down.
If you got 3 transformers, you're good to go.
Okay, yeah, so there's 3 there, because I think they had to bring, he told me they brought in a special one just for that plasma place because of the power they were pulling in there.
Mhm.
So,
Anything else?
Madam Chair, I've just got, there was some confusion, we're trying to figure out how much square footage, there's 1 building or 2 buildings on site?
no, sir, it's one solid building.
All right, and what's the
9,000
total?
square feet. I noticed you had 1,800, but I think you was referring to the office space.
Okay, so 9,000 total in that
Total,
building?
yes, sir, that's correct.
All right. Thank you.
It's 150 by 60.
And Mr. Kerr, what would be your recommendation?
Oh, I've got a whole presentation.
He's got a presentation.
Okay, awesome.
All right. So if that's the case, we have no one signed up for the public hearing, so there's no public hearing. Can we get your presentation?
Absolutely. This is a summary of the staff report you have before you. I'm not going to discuss everything that's in there. I'm just going to hit the highlights as I traditionally do. Again, the company that we're talking about in this case is MKLJ Holdings as the owner of the property at 270 Franklin Drive. The request is AR rezoning to C2. The term that I learned today is flex space. I'm familiar with this type of use, but I don't know that we've ever had it in Upson County. I've never heard that term before. So basically, it's where the business, they've got their office, but they also may have storage of equipment or inventory, and they might even do some of the work there. There might be some other term in the future, but we'll just use the term that Mr. Smith provided today, and that's flex space, a different kind of use than we probably have in other parts of the county. There, you see a definition that I borrowed from the internet about what flex space is, and basically it's a combination type of office space and the other things that I just talked about and that Mr. Smith spoke about. The property itself is approximately 2.25 acres, and again, I was taking my square footage of the building, I just misinterpreted, I guess. According to the tax assessor's website, there's 2 buildings there, and the first one I grabbed was 1,800 square feet. So obviously we've heard a different number, that the size is closer to 9,000 square feet. There is a wooded area you'll see in the aerial there in your staff report, and I will about to bring up. It's now been cleared, and I believe Mr. Smith has said that, that's the potential area for expansion, certainly maybe for parking if it becomes required, but there is that property on the south side. This is a long property, lengthy along Franklin Drive, and so there's some of that open area. And at least for the 1 year that they were paid their occupation tax in the county, this is the former location of Moore Automotive. This area is surrounded by C2 zoning in the city and in the county. To the east, however, there is some AR. Again, we'll go over the aerial in a moment, but that's the residential immediately to the east. The city residential, which is the apartments, I guess is C2, but the AR is just south of those apartments on that same island part of Franklin Drive. All right, and the reason why we're here, obviously you are the Joint Planning Commission. There's a 1998 interlocal agreement which requires that within this kind of activity, within 300 feet, we have a meeting like this. And of course the intent of this meeting is where the neighboring jurisdiction that doesn't have any power over the land use decision at least gets to comment, and this is a formal way to do it. So basically that's the idea, is let's put our interlocal hat on and what are the impacts that might be cross-jurisdictional and how do we address those. It's a fairly narrow assignment, and that's what we need to discuss. Obviously if a use is going to dump traffic in the neighboring community, or there's going to be noise impacts in the residential and the other communities, are things that whoever the other community is might want to comment on, and that's your opportunity with this Joint Planning Commission. In the city, the discussion here is the AR zoning and the C2 zoning. You'll see in the staff report the discussion about what those mean. Certainly the use that's there now Makes more sense in a C2 zoning, how it's what we discussed before. I suspect that back in the day when the zoning was done, is that it sort of was a united property out of the city because it stretched all the way to 19. And so it was sort of grandfathered in. The county part was sort of the tail of the dog. But then when it separated and these lots were separated out, well, all of a sudden the tail was all by itself in the county. And of course, the rest of the property without the buildings that were part of the dealership are in the city, properly zoned C2. So I suspect that that's what happened. That's why we have this AR, is it quote unquote didn't matter at the time because the majority of the dealership was in the city and C2. The city of Thomaston zoning, I believe you were provided the city a packet of the C2 zoning and a list of all the uses that are allowed there. It's got a similar definition than the county was. This is zoning that addresses consumer goods and services, the needs of commuters and visitors traveling the major highways. Obviously, this is off of 19, but it certainly backs up to 19. And, well, we'll talk about that type of use in a moment here. We also have a new comp plan, which you're all aware of. Both the county and the city character areas are commercially oriented. You'll see in the staff report where we talk about the description. The descriptions are almost identical to the type of use. So we've got that sort of similarity in the comp plan. There are goals and strategies in there. None of the goals and strategies oppose this proposal or indicate that it's a negative. You'll see there at the bottom here of the slide, maintain small town character and cultural identity, expand industries, businesses, and job opportunities, and support small businesses. So all of these in the comp plan are supportive of the proposal that you've got before you. So the staff analysis, again, basically because of what we've got in the zoning, which is requested and the type of use that is there, as well as the comp plan designations, we certainly have policy indication that this is an appropriate request to C2. Now, the purpose of this is also to assess the impacts. You do have residential in the island of what is Franklin Drive, and we need to be aware of what that means. There's no landscaping out there. That might be something that may benefit the residential uses out there, as they may have a little bit of hidden, the building can be hidden and the uses can be hidden behind some landscaping, or proper term is a buffer. That's something that could be discussed and looked at. Also, all these businesses are commercial, and if you look at in the photos, and we'll get to those, the one access point is right to that residential. I mean, they're going to look at the vehicles coming out of this particular site. So is there any way to alter that, or maybe use the other entrance more often, or again, some of the buffering? Again, you're going to have traffic, noise, odors, all these potential impacts for that particular neighborhood. And literally, you've got residential traffic coming out from one side and commercial coming head-on from the other side. So how do we address that if this is going to be approved? And again, the staff analysis goes further, and this is where I discuss both of these, the zoning direction, the comp plan direction, and the policy direction that's in there. Therefore, staff recommends approval, and whether you want to discuss conditions now, and certainly the planning commission of the county, as well as the board of commissioners, will certainly be discussing potential conditions of approval. While staff doesn't recommend approval, there need to be some serious conditions imposed because of the particular character of this area as a whole, and the potential impacts from right now is what is unknown. We don't know the type of businesses, and we're certainly going to have a limit on the type of businesses that go there based on the zoning district. All right, so here we got the aerial. You can see the loop, as I call it, for the area to the north of, you'll see in the loop, those are the apartments. The building, of course, is in the blue, and you can see that area to the south, which is also subject to this rezoning. It's wide open. There's nothing there right now. So the conditions and the approval also affects that. And I think the communications we've had from the applicant indicate that there might be expansion in the future on that particular part of the parcel. Of course, to the west, you see the frontage along US 19. So this is mostly the backyard neighbor to that frontage along US 19, which of course is some very significant high-intensity commercial. All right, and this is their zoning. You'll see the red line is where the city boundary is. Outside the red line is county. You can see the AR zoning, which is where our residential is. And to the south, you got that C2 where the city has just have approved the new townhomes. Potentially that little tongue there, I guess, could have commercial on it. The city could probably answer more detailed questions, but that would be additional residential, future residential on that C2 just south of the southern part of Franklin Drive that would potentially be impacted by uses on the subject property.
So I will tell you right there in the where the old drive-in is, the property that I was talking about that touches, they just were approved to annex into the city. And the condition was that they are only allowed to construct and sell townhomes.
Yeah, that's the one that,
Right. So that's what would be developed on those lots. And I did speak to the owner to let him know about this. He was already aware. He already spoke with Matt. He said he doesn't see any, negative impact to what he's trying to accomplish.
All right, now we'll go through the photographs. Of course, this is the front of the building as it looks today. And this is the north side and the west side of the building. You can see the applicant, Mr. Smith, was talking about the vehicle bays as well as the human doors that are all part of this. A little closer up. This is inside one of the smaller ones. I think this is inside the bigger
That's
unit,
going to
right?
be part of the machine shop for this company that I'm talking
Right,
about.
and
So
obviously-
this door was added, but they're going to get a forklift in and out, and they're going to load the trucks to take out there from the road, the asphalt road that's there.
So this is the bay that's considerably larger than all the others, right? And this is that loft space in that same.
Yeah, that's the where their suggestion is they're going to take that top rail down, and they're going to put some kind of safety deal, and then they're going to put a stock shelf up there, and whatever this part they're making, they're going to stock on top of this mezzanine, and then they're going to use the forklift to get it off, down, and out the door to load it onto the truck to carry it to this factory. And I'm sorry, the proposed spot south of there is, they think they're going to outgrow this space at a fast pace. And if they do, I'm prepared to build them another 10,000 square foot building right beside it.
Now, in the aerial that you had, this was a wooded area and has since been cleared out. So we got a couple other views in your staff report in here. So this is that area to the south where expansion could happen. And there's a closer view of that. And again, those trees that you see right there are where the townhomes would go. So that's the border with them right there. And this is on the north side, so you're looking towards US 19, the gas station there, and the buildings that are in between the two. And again, this was probably, again, on the north side, the transportation route between where the car dealership was and I guess this automotive and whatever this building was used for. So this is actually a paved road on the north side, and there's a way to access only the other businesses, or does it actually go out to the street without?
It goes all the way
Goes all the way.
through, but my deal was they're using it for such a cut through that I was gonna put a gate system on the road up where the raceway is, and then the people who had access to my units, kinda like the storage facility, could put a key pad in, punch it, and the gate would open to cut out all that traffic that they should probably be going up to the red light and cutting over to go to those houses beside it.
And then the grassy area just north is an additional lot that Mr. Smith also owns. This is the building due north. Again, you can see the grassy area between the subject building and property, and the neighbor. That's the one that fronts on East County Road. and the space in between. This is the residential apartments that are on East County Road, Southern Villas, that are in the city. And this is looking from sort of the southern end of his parking area, looking back north to the villa apartments across the street. Now, so this is the exit, their southern exit out of the apartment complex. So as you can see, boom, when you come out in the morning or driving in, that's your view. So whether you feel there's something that needs to be done there, or the Board of Commissioners or County Planning Commission, again, this is a residential access street that comes right out looking this commercial use across the street. And of course, you look a little bit to the north and you can see that other building and the corner of that particular, or Mr. Smith's building. This is the remaining single-family residential that's on the south side of the loop. This has been a code enforcement action for literally years, trying to clean up this part of the neighborhood. There, I believe, these are the last two manufactured homes that are left. Again, the zoning here is AR, similar to Mr. Smith's property now. So unless you're going to have a commercial rezoning in the future, this property could go back and continue as residential. This is looking north. This is the frontage looking towards East County Road. Buildings to the left. And these are the neighbors on the back side along 19. So again, these are the backside neighbors. There are gas station, Parachute, the restaurant, and then the Shell station. And that concludes my staff report, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any questions?
I just have one. Matt, if they go in and produce their parts, do you know what their hours are gonna be?
He didn't say anything about night. I'm assuming they gonna be there normal business hours, 8 to 5,
8 to 5,
9 to 5,
something
7 to
like that.
5, something like that. I mean, I don't see them being, matter of fact, I would guarantee you, it's not gonna be a 24-hour deal like that. It's not a manufacturing company to where they need assembly workers. It's more or less, that's what he was telling me. You know, it's gonna be like him, his mom, his dad, his granddaddy, and grandmama, maybe his brother. So I don't know how fast, but he just made the comment. He said, we could outgrow this building in a couple of years. And I said, well, I got a place right below it. We could build you another one if it works out. So, but he didn't say anything about building at night. Matter of fact, I'll put it in there if you approve it. They can't work at night. I mean, I'm not in there trying to terrorize the neighborhood.
Sure.
Yes.
Anything else?
I do have a Oasis. Does our code enforcement give any kind of recommendation from the city?
I have talked to Russell, building official John Baxter, Taylor Smith, economic development director, and we're all kind of in agreement that the land uses that Matt's talking about doing would not be conflicting, land use with the city or the county. I mean, as long as he's gonna have to abide by the county regulations at the end of the day. But we have C2 zoning districts that line Highway 19. I mean,
And there wouldn't be any conflict with this.
no, the only thing, and Doug's kind of already mentioned this, is you might want to look at some conditions because you do have those apartments right there. Now, they are zone C2 for whatever reason, I don't know. But, you do have, that is a residential area, so just to be cognizant of that and maybe buffer, or maybe, operation hours so that there's not a noise ordinance violation or anything of that sort would be our only concern. Is we don't know what types of businesses he'd be renting spaces to and, what that might cause as far as impact wise. But other than, as far as the land use, we have no conflict at all. And he is on city power and city water. So.
All right. Anything else?
I don't have anything.
If not, do I have a recommendation, one way or the other, or motion?
I make a motion that we grant this applicant of C2.
Second.
Just, my question is, do we want to put any conditions with that? I'm asking just to make sure that we get the right,
Can I make a recommendation?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, if will you pull the picture up where you're coming out of the parking lot? You know, I'm all for putting up trees or whatever, you know, we've done on our storage buildings, but, all right, go back to that one. I'll go back one more. Right there. All of that is the county's ditch line. So I don't, you know, if you want me putting it in there where all those utilities are, I don't know that we can, but the rest of that's asphalt on my end.
yeah,
Well,
So, you know, I don't,
yeah.
and they've been looking at it 25 years.
That was
not
my
that
thing.
that's a
Right, that's what I was gonna
problem
say.
either.
I'm not concerned about the trees and stuff like that. The only thing I was thinking was
operation hours.
operation hours, outdoor lighting, if there ever was any
What is
outdoor
the-
lighting.
There will
zoning-
be 3 outdoor lightings because of the area, and you'll see in the picture where they're at now, there's one under the service center of Moore's. And then now I'm not doing it like the storage facility.
Are
It's gonna
they
be-
like they were when it was Moore's?
They're the newer kind of lights, they're LEDs, they're the
But I mean,
kind
are
that
they in the
shine
same place?
Same exact place
So,
that they're on the
okay.
building now. Yes, ma'am. There's 3 on the west, 3 on the east, 1 on the south, and 1 on the north.
And keep in mind, cities and counties are typically complaint driven, so
Yeah.
we're gonna know if the spotlight's shining in someone's.
Well, I'm just thinking if they're in the same place that they were before, then
Right.
it's not gonna be anything they haven't seen.
Yeah, shouldn't be an issue.
Mr. Courier, I guess the noise ordinance, what's the county noise ordinance?
Very old.
Is it after 10 p.m. or 11?
I think it's a certain disturbance of volume and time, and it needs updating.
Okay, but he would still have to follow that ordinance, whether it's put in or not. I mean, that would still have to be followed, even if it's C2, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I see. Yeah, I second just approving for C2, since he would have to
Okay.
abide by the
Okay.
noise ordinance anyway.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, do we have reasons for the vote and the motion?
No, so do you want to add why you're in favor of it, the reason why you're in favor of it? That's what he's asking for. What's your reasoning for?
Well, most of the area there is C2 anyway. You know, Matt wants to change it to it, so we may as well just inherit to the rest of it as it backs up to C2.
Okay.
Make it C2.
Okay. So with
Should have been
that,
C2 15 years ago, but that's neither here or there. I'm only here tonight to rectify the situation. So let's do it. That's the reason.
okay. So with that motion, that reason.
I'll still
you're saying-
second. Sure.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Thank you. Obviously, the next step is to go to the Planning Commission meeting of, I believe it's the 12th, February 12th, so you'll see that there.
Sure.
That's it.
Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, item 4, other business. There's nothing on here. Anybody have anything that needed? No. Item 5, do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
6:08. Thank you very much. I will take care of the 80.
Good to see everyone.
Good to see you.